What's up, world?
I just, I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
They
Insert here.
Yo.
It's a terrible game. Bottom line, it's terrible in every way. Graphically, it's terrible. Gameplay is terrible. It's just terrible.
Angry Nick mad.
That game sucked, and it's gonna suck no matter how many revisions they make, and it just sucked even more because they put a Kinect with it.
Angry Nick mad. Or if there's violence, I'll just laugh and enjoy the fun.
Kaz Hazari.
Kaz Harai.
They just kind of got tired of Angry Nick on the first one and say, I'm going to pass.
Oh, yeah, so I do. Precisely.
No.
I
No.
do all my work.
No.
And
You guys are
unfortunately,
so
I don't.
cute.
Oh, thank you. I try.
I mean, let's face it, Mario, and to a lesser extent Zelda, is what carries Nintendo at this point.
Always be radical.
I love you, little podcast. You're the bestest thing ever. For the promise of a new Super Smash Bros. And the Zelda game, yes.
You will not find a better story presented in any other game genre, in my personal opinion. Like, JRPGs have that. They have that story.
That's what the entire game felt like. Oh my god, I want to bang my head into a wall.
It's a podcast again? Can someone remind me? I thought it was a video game podcast.
You're listening to the Game Source Podcast.
Hello again. It is Game Source Podcast 146 from our good friends with Game Source, yourgamesource.com, the nuherald.com, actually kind of official, not so official, maybe official, depends on who you talk to, news outlet for National University, and then also Pop Culture Cosmos. It is Game Source Podcast number 146, and hopefully this will also be edited in audio version for the News NU Herald podcast channel as well. My name is Gerald Glassford, and I'm here with my good friend, the latest graduate officially of National University, and I'm most great to have him here. Had some issues back and forth. Him in the mountains. I think he was busy yodeling, so that's why the didn't get actually the best of connections. Yes, either that or he was playing Pokemon Go just a little bit too much. His name is Josh Peterson. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on.
By the way, the book that you authored, Vendetta Dark, is that still available on Amazon, Goodreads, and whatnot?
Oh, you bet it's still available. Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, paperback, ebook. Check it out.
It's actually a very good read, and if anybody gets a chance to do so, please go do so. It's I picked it up myself for my Kindle, and it was a must-buy. Josh sent us a copy over for review as well. We were most appreciative of it, and we're looking forward to seeing and reading more great stuff that Josh has got coming down the pike, which we will go into before we get off the air today. But you and I both know it. The world knows it. It's been going crazy for Pokemon Go. Nintendo and Niantic co-developed a augmented reality program that has been sweeping the entire face of God's green earth over the past 2.5 weeks. It has garnered, I believe, in the upwards of 30 million. Well, it's probably more so, much more so now. It has outpaced, depending on which avenue you're talking about, either Android or iPhone, it has outpaced such apps as Twitter, also as well Facebook, and even, not my favorite, but maybe somebody else's, Tinder. So I ask you, Josh, have you been playing any Pokemon Go?
Not yet. I've been watching other people play. I have a Windows phone, so I need to get rid of this brick here. But it's fun. I've been playing on other people's phones, and I think it's a great way for people, like gamers especially, to get to know each other, because we tend to be a reclusive bunch, but it's a fun game. I think Nintendo kind of struck gold with that one.
They did indeed. It was a great idea, a great concept. I have been called a harsh critic of Nintendo over the course of the years. In fact, the media has been as a whole, from what I've covered, maybe has treated Nintendo maybe a little bit on the harsh side. Some of it is deserved as far as their business decisions over the past 5 years or so, ever since the fall of the Wii. But I think a lot goes to it, and this is just personal opinion. I think a lot when it comes to media, they want to see, or they're used to the success that it had with the NES and the N64 and then the Wii, and they perceive Nintendo as always being able to do this dramatically good success and whatnot, and unfortunately that's not always been the case, especially in recent times with the failure of the Wii U and some of their other decisions. But let's give the devil its due in this case. They have done an outstanding job as far as this year is concerned. Ever since Star Fox, we'll forget about. That's something they want to probably just put under the carpet at this point in time. But I will tell you this: they have done an outstanding job for the future as far as it's concerned. With obviously the release of Pokemon Go, and then you have you have good stuff coming on the way with The Legend of Zelda, which people like Doug from our good friend at Retro City Games, who's come on the show and been a great part of the show, and also part of Game Source. He was there at E3 and he witnessed the 8-hour lines, literally 8-hour lines to play a small demo of the game and whatnot. And then also as well, the mini NES that's coming out, the abbreviated NES, so it's going to be what fits inside the palm of your hands, I believe it is, that Nintendo's officially releasing with 30 bundled games inside to play. That will be coming out for the holidays. That's not exactly the system from Nintendo everybody wanted to see or was expecting to see or was hoping to see this holiday. It was hoped to be the NX, but that's not coming out until, as of this point, March of next year is what they're targeting. But the NX is a good question. It's because, if the NX should fail, I ask you, is that really important as far as the overall Nintendo scheme? Because we've seen the success of what they've done outside of that realm, and we've seen the interest that people have as far as for Nintendo products itself. If they were to fail with the NX and whatever console mobile combination hybrid that they have rumored to be developing at this point in time, if the NX fails, is it game over for Nintendo?
First of all, the new Nintendo, the little tiny one, I'm excited about that. Like I go from Walgreens, I bought a Sega Genesis with a hard drive, and I absolutely loved it because it had all the little games in it.
And that's something that's generated a lot of positive interest as well. That news and also Pokemon Go, their shares have for Nintendo have rose. They've gone down the past couple of days, but they rose higher. To give you an idea, their shares had risen so high that they were outvaluing Sony, that they were better, they were at a higher value than the Sony Corporation.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think the success of Pokemon Go really answers that question in itself. Like, why are they even bothering? I mean, I like the console games, like Legend of Zelda looks cool, but why are they even bothering with consoles? It seems like it's been such a big woe for them over the past 10 years. Why are they even bothering if they have such massive success on things like Game Boy? But then again, if you look at it, if they really want their consoles to be successful, why not? I ask you this question: why not create a console-based Pokemon game? Because obviously people would buy it and people would, they play it yeah.
Well, and that's a good point, and I'm assuming that if the NX is going to have the rumored hybrid of mobile activity to console activity, and it's supposed to be a hybrid of each, augmented reality where and if people don't understand what augmented reality is and they hadn't played Pokemon Go yet, if you haven't, what are you doing? Because it's kind of fun. Just be safe when you're doing it, by the way. You gotta pay attention where your surroundings, as they say, because I have a feeling somebody's going to be suing them pretty soon for damages, because what people are doing are wild. But getting back, running into police cars,
found a dead
finding
body.
dead bodies. Yeah, getting themselves robbed and all that. But anyways, they're going to, as far as it's concerned, if that's the case, and it's rumored to be a hybrid of the both, I'm sure a Pokemon game of that type or that ill, or even Pokemon Go will come out with an NX version that will appeal to the audience. Maybe it'll be too late as far as a Pokemon Go per se, but maybe a hybrid of that Pokemon type experience could work with it. I'm elaborating more as well on the fact, like you, is when Sega, the Sega systems didn't work after the fall of the Genesis, as far as is concerned, and they're well, not the fall of the Genesis per se, excuse me, the fall of the Dreamcast, and then obviously the Saturn was the ultimate downfall of Sega in the console business. They proceeded to go ahead and get into a software only basis, which they are still today. We have a good friend that works in our PR company, John. Give you a big shout out there because he's been so gracious to us over the years. But that being said, Sega has never really hit the heights with their software products from both the mobile and console standpoint that maybe most were hoping or expecting. But that's not to say they won't do it. It's just at this point in time, it has not worked out in the long run like they had envisioned to become a major, powerful publisher that was after they stopped producing consoles. If Nintendo, the NX, does not succeed to the level that they needed to be or wanted to be, I don't think it's game over at all for Nintendo. I think their future is extremely bright, as evidenced by what we've seen the past 3 weeks, because their characters and their licenses that they could go ahead and issue out. I mean, just imagine if Zelda was released on a late Xbox One, PS4, scenario. As far as it's concerned, it would sell. I don't know GTA not by like numbers, but it would sell quite a bit and quite heavy. So I do see a long-term future for the company going forward. How about you?
No, I agree. I mean, the success of Pokemon Go, the success of Pokemon in general. That's on their mobile platforms. That's really mobile platforms and the Game Boy games. They don't really need the consoles. And you're right. If they were to take one of their major IPs and put it over onto Xbox or PlayStation, like it would sell like crazy.
Indeed, it would. And so at least it's something in the back of their mind they now can see, and also their investors, which they do take a lot of importance with, as far as it's concerned, their thoughts and their inputs. Because obviously what we saw with the action of their stock in the past 3 weeks and how dramatically it rose, they value Nintendo and their Nintendo properties quite a bit, and there's a long-term future there, even if the NX should fail or should not see the type of success that it ultimately needs to have. But speaking of success or whatnot, we are continuing on with our discussion as far as we're past the halfway point. We're almost heading in August, whatnot. Basically, this, it's because for the video game industry, film industry, and also TV, fall season's coming upon us, and some great stuff is coming out for each of those. So it gets hot and heavy there. But that being the case, so far in 2016, what are just a couple of the things that you've seen in TV and movies and in games that really have stuck out as far as being well done in your mind?
Ooh, I haven't played a lot of games this summer. I'm waiting for Deus Ex to come out. But as far as movies go, I was disappointed by Tarzan. Like, I was really looking forward to it, and it ended up, it wasn't a bad movie, but it wasn't something that was like really exciting to me.
Well, I'm surprised it has done as well as it has in the box office, as far as it's concerned, because it's now over $100 million domestically. It will make somewhere in the neighborhood of $350, maybe $400 million. It, with production costs and advertising costs, it may break even at best, but this was looking like a real turkey when it was going to about ready to be released, as far as in most analyst predictions. So I think it's exceeding those expectations, despite what you're saying as far as it's concerned. But I've not seen a good Tarzan movie in my lifetime. But and I don't think this one will probably add to that. This one will probably add to the queue of negative. We've seen Tarzan movies, so I'm surprised by its success. Are you?
Yeah, no, I mean it. Like I said, like it wasn't a bad movie. It just wasn't something that really like I came out of the theater being really stoked about. Like it was. They didn't really show me anything that cool that wasn't in the trailers. It's one of those movies.
And that leads to a bigger discussion before we continue 2016. And we've talked about this and touched on this before. Do trailers show too much?
See, that's the thing, like right there. It's like, where is the balance? Because you obviously want to pull people into the movie, but you don't want to give too much away. And I know comedies have an especially bad problem with this, is showing all the funny parts, and then you get into the movie and you're really just not into it.
I know Batman versus Superman was accused of doing that because they showed Doomsday when they shouldn't have. I know for a fact, the last year's Terminator, that was an issue when they showed John Connor being already a Terminator, which, again, was another problem with showing it too early on the trailers. I think, everybody says, Star Wars does everything right. Not always, but one thing they do show very well and do show off very well, I think that they are very guarded on what information comes out. And I think because they know that their audience doesn't need that much information in order to come to the movies. And that's why their trailers are so good. Whereas, with other movies that are desperate to get an audience, sometimes they're willing to show too much, like you said, just to try to get them in the theaters.
Yeah, and if you look at Star Wars, like their movies are so rich and everything, like so detailed, that they can get away with showing very little and keep people interested in it. You look at a lot of sci-fi movies, they're guilty of showing all the parts in the trailers that people would want to see, and then people go to the movies and they're really not that into it.
The movie that you're going to go see, Ghostbusters, tonight, gave away, I thought, a little bit too much in regards to Chris Hemsworth's character. That they had already gave away something that I would have found much more interesting had I seen it for the first time on screen. Because I recently saw it at the Chinese TCL Chinese Theater in Hollywood this week, and but I already knew that going in, so it was kind of disappointing when you see it already happening on screen. Like, already I've seen this before, but that's just one example I could say. But I think there's just has to be so many. There's international trailers. There's domestic trailers. There's so many trailers that these movie companies seem to have to feel like they have to put out in order to get people to come to theaters. And plus, sometimes they release trailers 6, 7 months, 9 months in advance, which in a lot of cases doesn't need to be done.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, it depends on, like, Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates is another example of that one. I saw that one too, and they really did pretty much show all the funny parts in the trailers. The movie was still funny, but it's just, you really got to be careful what you're showing, or else there's not really going to be any surprise left for people when they go to see the movie.
Exactly, indeed. So getting back to what I've been good this year. I know we talked in the past about Captain America: Civil War. I thought it was very strong, the first 2 parts of the film. I thought the third act for me was not quite where it needed to be. So I'd say I've not really seen a film this year outside of Rob McCallum's Missing Mom, but that's just a documentary. I know for many people, they want to see it. You know what? You should get a chance. Anyone out there, get to see it. Missing Mom. It's on Vimeo. It's really good. But as far as major theatrical movies are concerned, that's a good thing to say, because it's really tough. I've not seen one movie that's knocked me over as of yet. at this point in time. Not even the movies, animated movies like Zootopia have really just ultimately nailed it, in my opinion. In the gaming world, it's different though, because there's been a lot of games. Sorry, Pokemon Go, solid stuff, but crashing and servers crashing and game freezing. It does not make it for a perfect experience. So we're not going to include you on this list. But Uncharted, obviously Uncharted 4 for me, though, that's got to be something that people have talked about as far as putting on the top of their list. Inside, a game which I had said for a while that to be looking forward to, that has come out to outstanding reviews. Overwatch, which I was also happy to say you could see the success coming, and if the game was going to be decent, it was going to get a lot of support, and it has. It's more than met its expectations. There's been quite a good number of games that have come out at least this year. On the TV side, what are some of the TV shows that have piqued your interest?
I haven't really been watching a lot of TV. I did watch Netflix's season 2 of Marco Polo, and that was, I really love that show. It got the whole first 8 episodes of the season were just fantastic. A lot of intrigue. It was like a more, it's like Game of Thrones, but more Mongolian, obviously. But the you kind of notice in these shows when the writers are trying to get it to like the last episode of the season, kind of put a bow on it, but keep you wanting more, they tend to get really lazy. And so that's what I noticed in the season finale of Marco Polo, is that compared to last season, you have these epic battle scenes, this huge martial arts climax. Compared to that, it kind of like the ending kind of, sizzled a little bit. It wasn't really, you had this bright flame and then just kind of smoldered into nothing. But I'm still gonna watch season 3.
Well, for me, I think the best I've seen on television, again, is another documentary, and I'm going to touch on it. It's the ESPN 5-part series, OJ Made in America. If anybody wants to understand as far as watching great documentary work, it touches on a lot of sensitive subject matters that still resonate with our society today. But I think if you were really going to go ahead and binge on something, I would highly and strongly recommend that, because people need to understand about how important that was to us in the 90s, as far as the case itself, everything surrounding the case, relations at that time. And like I said, how it affects the world we live in today. Can't recommend that enough, because it was just truly an outstanding watch. There's also, speaking again of OJ, as far as the People versus OJ Simpson, some overacting here and there, but overall, it was a pleasant watch. As far as it's concerned, even though it kind of strayed away from the actual real subject matter sometimes to make it obviously for drama, but for the most part was really some decent viewing. The Walking Dead for many was not exactly what they wanted it to be. I know that from seeing as far as the responses on that, but I guess probably Game of Thrones would probably be a lot of people's choices as far as how good and how wonderful it's captured people's attention. So at this point in time, people, the Americans, which I've always said was a really solid show for years now, and I hope people are watching that one, because now that finally it's getting its due as far as Emmy nominations are concerned, it's something that people should go out of the way to see. And then Mr. Robot, I think from the USA Channel, I know that has become a darling to a lot of people, and I think people should be wary of that show as far as something they might want to tap into. So, any last thoughts on the best 2016 so far for you?
Yeah, let me just, while we're on the subject of television, let me ask you something. Do you keep up with Top Gear at all?
I keep up. I've only seen a couple episodes this year, but I keep up more with the actual news behind the scenes. That I definitely do, as far as it's concerned, because it seems to make more news off camera than on, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah. So the whole thing, like, there's this belief that, you know, the BBC was confident that once they fired Jeremy Clarkson that, you know, they would keep their viewers. But Top Gear has gone from one of the most watched television shows in the world down to one of the BBC's like lowest performers. So do you think they are wrong in thinking that, in, you know, in firing Jeremy Clarkson? Obviously his new show on Amazon Prime is going to be, I'm curious to see it, but I hear it's supposed to be the same format as it was in Top Gear. But do you think the idea that talk shows or you know, a show like Top Gear, do you think that the people watch it because of the host, or do you think they watch it because they like the subject matter? This has been a debate among, you know, fans for a while now.
I can tell you, it's goes with many shows that make these type of mistakes, that has these falling out between cast members. I've seen this before over the course of time as a movie watcher. I mean, as a TV watcher and somebody who's stayed somewhat up on the entertainment scene. You see this when egos get in the way, and when battles between interpersonalities and also as well the company is away, the show suffers. There's a breakup, and even if Jeremy Clarkson achieves some level of success with his Amazon venture, he's never going to get back to what in my opinion, as far as it's concerned, unless he creates something totally brand new. He's not going to get back to what success the Top Gear had. Top Gear had that success. Top Gear had, at that point in time, like you said, it was the top-rated show on BBC. It had that unique karma of everything built in as far as what an audience was attracted to. And once you start making changes, it's hard to get that back. And in most cases, it does not happen. And I think it's a combination of the studio not stepping in more quickly and settling these issues and saying, hey, we need to work out it to keep the show going fresh and to keep it entertaining because we have something good here. Because success, you know, if not handled properly, you know, it's doomed to fail, because it's just people get big heads. They start thinking that they're better than the actual product itself, and that they're bigger than the product itself, and thus you know, the quality suffers. And you've seen that. Top Gear is a great example. They'll never get it back. And as far as that show is concerned, I see that show probably meeting its end very, you know, sooner rather than later. And with Jeremy Clarkson, the way it's promoted on Amazon, I have a feeling, you know, it'll do pretty good, you know. But will it achieve Top Gear like numbers? No, because everybody associates him with Top Gear, and I think that's a period of time that should have made more effort to keep that show as cohesive, you know, more cohesive than it ultimately was made out to be.
Yeah, I agree.
And because you had, like, say, you know, let's say you and I have a show together, Game Source show, you know, and it does wild hits and whatnot, and we're number one here, number one there, number here, number there. And if we don't work together to keep making it consistently a great show, then obviously there's going to be a valley that's going to hit, and it's going to hit rather quickly. So I think the case in point was just Top Gear. They just, you know, bigger heads, prevailed, and unfortunately for the show, it suffered. And for the viewers, all they have to do, they have the power with the remote. You know, all they have to do is just this. And people forget that in the entertainment industry. All they have to do is this. And I believe I heard was listening to the radio, and they quoted an executive in the TV industry who said that there's just way too many choices of good television, not bad television or any television, good television viewing right now. And there's so much good quality shows that's available on either television or instant video or what have you, that all you need to do is just this. Click that button and change the channel.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree completely, especially with subscription-based television now. You really don't need to watch cable television at all. You can kind of, you got Hulu, you got Netflix, and these channels now, or these, subscription-based choices now have their own original programming that seems to be far better than what's on television.
But not quite as good as Game Source programming. I'm just kidding.
Of course. I mean, we'll always be number one in my book.
There you go. Fair enough. And speaking of TV, of gaming, of movies, of comic books, and well, this weekend is probably as big as any other because it's San Diego Comic-Con time again, and this weekend everybody is anticipating, just a fantastic time down in San Diego. I wish we were down there reporting live at the scene. Well, actually, I probably couldn't catch up to you because you'd probably be, getting all those collectibles right now. But it'd be like, and now to Josh.
And he's gone. Oh.
Yeah, he's gone. But needless to say, there's everybody seems to be going that well. Everybody except for Justice League is seemingly going down to Comic-Con as far as to make announcements, to break the news to the audience, because they understand the importance that San Diego Comic-Con has. From what you're hearing, what you're reading, and what you're seeing, what are you looking forward to this weekend, and what do you hope will happen at San Diego Comic-Con this weekend?
Oh, wow. So last night I came upon an interesting article that the CW had acquired the rights to the Constantine television show. And so I know the show performed kind of poorly, but I really liked it because I really like that character. He fascinates me. But so I'm hearing things now that Constantine might come back onto the CW. So I'm really hoping for an announcement in that area because I think Matt Ryan played a really good Constantine.
I will stop you for just a second. I know you'll probably, speaking of falling out like Top Gear, we'll probably have a falling out after this. I thought he was okay. I watched the show and thought it was okay. I personally like the Keanu Reeves. I personally like the Keanu Reeves movie. I thought making made almost $400 million at the worldwide box office. I thought it was going to set itself up for a sequel. I personally enjoyed the movie. I know everybody seemingly on the fence. I've watched it again on TV and whatnot. I think it's a worthwhile opportunity as far as for a sequel. So I personally think he's just as good a fit as Paul Ryan, but that's just me. So I don't know how you felt about the movie. So that's just saying that out in front. So.
No, I agree. Like I really liked Keanu Reeves' iteration of Constantine. I was hoping for a sequel too, but that's the thing that really irks me about the DC movie universe is they have all these like great properties like Constantine that they've created over a span of 10, 15 years, and they're just all of it's just gone now because they're trying. They're building this big their big DCU and the.
Well, when I say that, as far as it's concerned, it's tough because I saw that film and how it was made and more elaborate special effects. Obviously, they have a bigger budget, and then when you try to shrink down Constantine's world into a smaller size, for me that was kind of I don't want to say a step down, but you know what? For all intents and purposes, I have to say for me it was a step down.
Oh no, yeah, I completely agree. Like Constantine stuff, a lot of it, like you kind of see like the budget effects in it, but it's Constantine has a huge world, and he's so connected with a lot of these different shows that have been spread all over the different cable stations. Like he's connected to Lucifer, he's connected to Arrow, he's connected to I don't know if he's ever been connected to the Flash, but he's been in Batman comics. He's a very dark character with a very rich history, but I feel like on TV he hasn't really gotten his justice.
So you're looking forward to as far as Constantine is concerned, and obviously him interacting, because I like you, I've heard the rumors and heard that he might be interacting, even if it's not a show per se, but at least interacting in that world, in that realm of the DC universe on the CW, which personally that I'm okay with. That I think would be really cool to see the different scenarios there. For me, as far as concerned, Comic-Con, I don't know how much Star Wars can really actually tell us after Star Wars Celebration last week, with all the great news coming from there. I don't know if they have anything left for Comic-Con. We're sometimes between the Disney experience, the whatever they're on now, D23, 24, whatever, and a Star Wars Celebration. I don't know if they'll have anything left for Comic-Con. I'm hoping they will, or at least I'm hoping at some point in time the Doctor Strange panel will yield some new information. But otherwise, I'm on that end. And then also the Suicide Squad. You're obviously going to hear a little bit more about that as the anticipation builds on that, and seems to be getting a lot of good buzz as far as it's concerned. So people are looking forward to that, which will be a big boost to Warner Brothers and their efforts as far as the DC movie universe is concerned. But right now, I just hoping for a lot of good things. I know we've got friends of the show that are down there. Paul, be safe when you're down there. He's getting a lot of collectibles while he's there, and just hope everybody goes down there and has fun and no incidents or anything like nature of a bad nature, and just hope everybody has a good time. But we will report to you all the latest findings on our Pop Culture Cosmos page on Facebook. So give us a like there, and then also as well, Game Source will also have some tidbits from actual Comic-Con in and of itself as well. So, Josh, any final thoughts, or what are you working on right now as far as it's concerned, now that you are a newly minted graduate of the National University?
First, while we're on comic books, let's talk about the ironically stated white elephant in the room, which is the new Iron Man comic books.
Indeed, because they recently made they've shown that Tony Stark is no longer going to be in the comic books the main character. But I'll let you elaborate more.
Yeah, it's I haven't read it yet, so I can't really go. I don't know a great deal about it except what I've read, but just the idea that he is stepping down and handing the Iron Man mantle over to a young African-American woman whose backstory involves something about, having a rough life and all that and turning your life around. Like, I think it could be a good story, but at the same time, I'm not in a hurry to rush out and read it. Like, I trust Brian Michael Bendis, obviously, because of what he did with Miles Morales in Ultimate Spider-Man. But let me ask you this. At some point, do you think that they're just kind of overdoing it with the I know we've talked about this before, but do you think they're overdoing it with diversity in comic books? Because this, to me, feels like it could be a rehash of the Miles Morales story. Like, he saw how successful that was, and then he just is kind of doing the same thing.
I know you can say that, but I'll tell you what, I think it's a great idea. I think it's a proverbial. I think Marvel often does, sometimes just from a visual, it's just opinion. I think they sometimes do things just to give a proverbial finger to people that trolls and people that the people that say such negative things on the internet. Sometimes they like to go and do things just because they want to, and they want to push people's buttons. And you know what? This is going to push people's buttons, and I'm definitely okay with that. If she's written well, as a great character, as far as it's concerned, like so many other great Marvel characters have been written, and she's giving the same love, decency, and respect, I have no problems with it at all. And I'm hoping best success in that. I know lots of people are piqued as interest as far as it's concerned. It has brought out a lot of trolls and internet hate, but I tell you what, if it's written well, I don't see a problem with it, and I don't see a problem continuing that character into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because I know that it might if it portrays well on comic books, I can actually see that portraying even better on the big screen.
Yeah, no, correct. I mean, I'm interested in reading it. I'm probably not going to rush out to read it just because I have so many other comic books I'm trying to get through. But the my concern is that at some point it's going to become, when are they going to take like these heroes that we all love and kind of turn them into corporate cash cows, instead of like giving us the good stories that we deserve to read. Not that she can't exist and have a great story, but it's a concern in the back of my head.
And that's a good concern to have, but you also got to weigh this factor. How long has Bruce Banner been detailed as a character? How long has as far as Clark Kent? How long is some of these characters have have been portrayed and reportrayed and reportrayed and reportrayed and backstoried and detailed in comic books for, 40, 50 years in some cases. So having a change of character to me is a fresh look at it. And, worst comes to worst, Captain America is a Hydra agent. The plan intentional. Was intentional to get everybody up in arms, and then obviously they're going to go back to some point saying, that wasn't necessarily the case as far as in a later issue after you bought the other issues. Obviously, the end goal for Marvel, now that they're on Disney, but when they were Marvel still by themselves, was to garner a profit. And if it freshens up the series in a positive way, with a positive character that sparks interest for readers, then ultimately, whether it's just the character everybody's come to know or a new character put in its place, I think it's the best for the long run.
Yeah, no, I agree, because the fact that some of these heroes have existed for so long it's kind of
I mean, how much can you recreate the same character? How much can you go back to that same character? And I'm not talking about the actual superhero. I'm talking about their identity, because some of these identities, which oftentimes they try to portray as just a bland, normal person with a normal supposed background. How much, does that really, how many times can you go to the well when it comes to that? So sparking it up with a new type of character to portray that role, to me, sparks my interest, and I know it spark a lot of other people's as well. And obviously that's the key, is just to get people coming back to the newsstands, coming back to the comic book stores to buy more comic books. And sometimes, when you push those buttons, it doesn't work out. But to me, I think, like you alluded to, it all depends on the writing, and the writers have got to be on their game in order to do that. Because if it's not, then fans will moan and groan on that, and will definitely say it with their pocketbooks.
Yeah, I think that if they're going, since this is such like a drastic change to Iron Man, I feel like it's not a bad change, just a big one. I feel like they should have new villains, new characters. I think that she should exist separate of Tony Stark. Obviously, she's going to be tied to Tony Stark, his suits, his legacy. But I want, maybe if she had her own set of villains and acquaintances and friends, it would show us something fresh that we've never read before. I know Miles Morales' Spider-Man is really good, but he fights Peter Parker's villains over and over and over again. It would be nice to see something new.
Like if Miles Morales had foes in high school that like a big bully or whatnot from high school that tried to beat up on him, and the big bully became a super villain. I could see that, like you said, that provides a fresh new perspective. With this new Iron Man character, if she has adversaries and foes and her personal level and her personal life before she becomes Iron Man, and they suddenly, for some reason or another, through the magic of writing, become super villains themselves, that would provide a different new scenario. And like you said, that would provide a fresh new outlook for the series in itself, and make it more appealing to people out there. So I couldn't agree with that, with you on that any more than that. That's something that they have to do, and all comes down again to the writing. So we'll see what happens there. But that's it for this time for Game Source Podcast 146. Once again, check us out, Game Source on Facebook, Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook, and the NU Herald. Again, Josh, what can we look forward to from you going forward?
Probably around fall, you'll be able to read my new book, which is called Congratulations, You Suck, which I'll give you a quick rundown. It's about a guy whose ex-girlfriend, it's a writer, the guy's a writer, and his ex-girlfriend uses his fame to promote her own book about how much being in a relationship with this writer sucked for her. So it's been a fun ride. It's something different from, it's a little more lighthearted than Vendetta Dark was, but I'm excited to get into people's hands because I've been talking about it for so long.
Awesome. I can't wait to take a look at it myself. Just looking forward to that. And that's Congratulations, You Suck. Hopefully looking at a possible September release date. Is that correct?
Correct.
Oh, sweet. So definitely once it comes out, or once it's getting ready to come out, we will let everybody know through our social media exactly all the the expectations on that, the release date, information on how to get it, how to buy it, pre-order information as soon as it becomes available, and we will make sure everybody gets the word out there on Congratulations, You Suck, and also Vendetta Dark, which you can get today on all the different book formats. So check that out, indeed. So for Josh, any last words before we head on out?
I think we covered everything I wanted to talk about. If you get a chance to check out Vendetta Dark, do it. And as always, I appreciate the support that the fans are giving me and Game Source, of course.
We appreciate everything that you've done for us as well. You're part of the team, and you've done so many great things for us. So we appreciate it. And looking forward to Comic-Con this weekend. Looking forward to Star Trek Beyond this weekend. Jason Bourne next weekend. You're going to see Ghostbusters tonight. I will hopefully, if I can get my act together, hopefully provide a review of Ghostbusters that people can read on either yourgamesource.com or the NU Herald in the coming days. And hopefully when I see Star Trek Beyond, I could also do that same as well. I'd like to also hear your thoughts, Josh, once you actually get to see it. Love to hear what you have to say about the movie. So for Josh Peterson, author of Vendetta Dark, and the upcoming Congratulations, You Suck. That's going to be awesome to say every time I have to announce that, by the way. This is Gerald Glassford. Once again, Pop Culture Cosmos, NU Herald, and Game Source. Thank you for joining us today on Game Source Podcast number 146. Here, we're having another beautiful day in paradise, and here's hoping you have yourselves a great day.
Do you love games, breathe games, and bleed games? Then this is the crew for you. If you are interested in editorial, podcasting, live events, and exclusive content, make sure to hit us up at info@yourgamesource.com and become part of a team that is dedicated to delivering all the greatest and latest in gaming news and content, all here at yourgamesource.com.